On April 20th, Congressman Jim Jordan sent a letter to Secretary of State Antony Blinken about the shenanigans surrounding the handling of the Hunter Biden laptop story in October 2020, obviously just days before the presidential vote. And at the time all this went down, Blinken was a senior advisor to the Biden campaign. And so the letter that Jim Jordan just wrote him on April 20th concerns a transcribed interview that the Judiciary Committee conducted with Mike Morrell, a former deputy director of the CIA, and he is one of the 51 signatories of the letter in October 2020, claiming that this Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. So the letter begins by establishing the timeline. So the New York Post story broke on October 14th, and this letter signed by these 51 agents came out on October 19th, just 5 days after. That was, supposedly debunking that story as a Russian op. But Jim Jordan's letter to Blinken, however, establishes once again, for probably the fifth, sixth, or seventh time by now, that there was more to this story, of course, than meets the eye. So I'm just going to read a little bit from this letter here. We're going to pick this up at the interview with Mike Morrell. So the question: prior to Secretary Blinken's call, you did not have any intent to write this statement. I did not, says Mike Morrell. Okay, so this call triggered it did. That intent in you? Yes, absolutely. That same day, October 17th, you, meaning Blinken, also emailed Morrell an article published in USA Today alleging that the FBI was examining whether the Hunter Biden laptop was part of a disinformation campaign. The very bottom of the email you sent to Morrell included the signature block of Andrew Bates, then director of rapid response for the Biden campaign. Morrell testified that his communication with you was one of a few communications he had with the Biden campaign, explaining that he also received a call from Steve Getty, chairman of the Biden campaign, following the October 22nd debate to thank him for writing the statement. After the debate, I think it was after the debate, in fact, I'm pretty sure it was after the debate, I got a phone call from Jeremy Bash, who I work with at Beacon and who is active politically. Pardon me. And Jeremy said, do you have a minute to talk to Steve Getty? I said, of course. He was the head of the Biden campaign at the time, and Jeremy got him on the line, and Steve thanked me for putting the statement out, and that was the extent of the conversation. Now, let's just take a quick video break here just to establish what he meant by the debate. So this is a debate moments from late October that has gone somewhat viral now since this Morrell story dropped. Here is Joe Biden raising the laptop from hell, and Joe Biden blatantly lying to the camera and to the people about what a disinfo op this was. All the while, his campaign was putting that in the intelligence agency's head. That's what this latest drop reveals. But let's just, for some reference, watch this. This is pretty brief.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And that's exactly what.
Is this where you're
exactly
going?
What
this is
told.
where he's going. The laptop is Russia,
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You have to be kidding. Here we go again with Russia.
The interesting thing there is that Trump seems genuinely taken off guard by that response. He seemed unprepared for Biden to bring up that this was a Russia hoax. He's like, come on, are you kidding me? He is like the Rodney Dangerfield guy who just wanders into this global conspiracy. What? Russia again? Huh? You know what I mean?
What are you talking about? Russia?
What are you talking
Russia?
about? Russia?
Why are we talking about Russia here? We're talking about a laptop.
Right, exactly. Like, he seemed genuinely surprised by that. So anyway, let me just go back to this for a quick moment here. We're not going to read the whole thing, but Morrell further explained that one of his two goals in releasing the statement, meaning the letter that said this was Russian disinfo, was to help then Vice President Biden in the debate and to assist him in winning the election. To help him in the debate and assist him in winning the election, he testified, What was the intent of the statement? There were two intents, Morrell answers. One intent was to share our concern with the American people that the Russians were playing on this issue, and two, it was to help Vice President Biden. Chairman Jordan, you wanted to help the vice president. Why? Because I wanted him to win the election. You wanted him to win? That's why? Yes, sir. Jordan concludes pretty fairly, in my view. Based on Morrell's testimony, it is apparent that the Biden campaign played an active role in the origins of the public statement, which had the effect of helping him suppress the Hunter Biden story and preventing citizens from making a fully informed decision during the 2020 race. And so what you have there is Joe Biden giving that answer, just like when CNN leaked the debate questions ahead of the Clinton-Sanders debate, and she was asked a difficult question about the death penalty or something like that, and she was ready for it. Biden was ready with that answer because his campaign not only orchestrated the response, they orchestrated the piece of material that allowed him to give that response. Sabby, you covered this a couple days ago. What's your reaction to all this?
They were all covering for Hunter Biden. All of them. And this includes, you could add Merrick Garland to that list now, too. All of them were in on it. Anything to protect Joe Biden so that Trump wouldn't win again. And whether you like Trump or not, you need to ask yourself, was that fair? No, it's not fair. At this point in time, Merrick Garland needs to be investigated. I don't care if he's the attorney general. He needs to be investigated for lying to Congress, which is what he did. And so I'm willing to wonder if they leak those questions to Joe Biden to prepare him for that debate. Who's to say they didn't do that for Joe Biden when he debated against Bernie Sanders in that 2020 election? He looked really sharp there, sharper than he'd been in the previous debates. But the point to get across is the fact that this is corruption at its finest. They are protecting Hunter Biden so that they can protect Joe Biden. By this point in time, all of us should have been able to see or know about what is on that laptop. Some people still think the story is false. It's just Russian disinformation. So this article, this news that came out, this is huge because now it actually confirms, no, this is not Russian disinformation. This did happen, and that laptop does exist. And people have to understand that. I'm sorry.
Well, but this is part of what's really crazy about this story, and you're seeing this increasingly. It almost feels like the hearings with Taibbi and Schellenberger were just a breaking point, where they are just, the media and the Democrats have just taken off the mask, and they are just going to go full open overt censorship, because their brain dead followers don't care anyway. They're just manufacturing a product. They're not covering this. They're not talking about this. You have a whistleblower asking to come forward about how the IRS is mishandling the Hunter Biden investigation. That's getting very little coverage. It's as usual. It's all about Trump. Now DeSantis, the two of them, they go back and forth between attacking the two of them. And this is why so many Democrats have the impression that the GOP is the party of corruption. Now, it's not that the GOP is not corrupt, but it's kind of a wash between the two. I mean, technically, if you look at the most corrupt states, it's actually not. It's Democrats. The most corrupt cities, the most corrupt states are all run by Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big. Imagine if it was the other way around. Imagine if it was Trump who actually was sitting in Biden's situation, and it was his son who had the laptop. This would be a completely different story.
Right. And the thing about the laptop is this: the credibility of that New York Post story was instantly verifiable because the subject of the story is Hunter Biden, right? The president's son, the now president's son, at that time, the nominee's son. So could the question not just be posed directly to Joe Biden? Are the revelations that came to light based upon the finding of this laptop, are they real or not? Because the only way Joe Biden wouldn't know the answer to that question is if he didn't know of any arrangement between Hunter and himself, or Hunter and the Chinese, or Hunter and the Ukrainians. Like, unless Joe Biden himself was ignorant to the affairs of his own son, which I find extremely unlikely, then he would be able to answer yes or no, whether he thought it was Russian or not. Like, he would have known, hey, is the stuff in here legit? If he says no, then he can plausibly claim, I say plausibly, not truthfully, because obviously we know it's not true, but at the time he could have been able to plausibly deny, no, none of this is true, therefore this is all some Russian op, right? But if he couldn't say that, then it's obviously not a Russian op. Or if he says that and it comes to light that they are true, then it all comes back to Hunter himself. Did Hunter communicate that to his father or not? But the bottom line is, you have everything you need to know here pretty much right in front of you, right? Ultimately, it comes down to Hunter and Joe. And there is certainly a way to get to the bottom of this very, very quickly if they wanted to. They don't want to. They never wanted to. That's why that letter came forward in the first place. 51 agents saying, nope, nothing to see here.
Yep. No, I agree. I 100% agree. Like, maybe more information will come out. We need to have that pressure from the public to hold them accountable. I mean, at this point in time, this has been, how many years has this story been around now?
Oh, yeah, no, it's amazing. It's insane. Like, why not? I mean, the only thing, oddly enough, and like the Republicans are not known to exercise political restraint, but I think that must be the only thing preventing them from just calling Hunter Biden in to testify himself, because that's the whole game right there. What did Hunter Biden know, and what did he tell his father? Right? If you can prove that there was communication between those two and they both knew what was going on, then you could know for sure whether Joe trusted the credibility of the laptop leaks, right? And so there it is, right there. Like, it's pretty clear cut at that point. It's not like this is a mystery with a million layers, right? It's not like there's a mystery with a million layers where you have to dig and dig and dig. It's two guys. You gotta interview those two guys and see what they knew and what they told the other guy. That's it, right? I mean, am I missing something? That seems to be pretty much the case.
Right. And I think this is something we can point to the Twitter files about too. Like, why are they coming so hard at Matt Taibbi? Because one of the things that was revealed in the Twitter files was the coverage up, or the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story and that article from the New York Post. So the thing is that they kind of see Matt Taibbi as someone like, he's revealing information about the Democratic Party. We have to find a way to shut him down in whatever way that we can. Right. So I think, again, imagine it was the other way around. What if the information that Matt Taibbi discovered actually applied to Donald Trump? I don't think Stacey Plaskett would be trying to send Matt Taibbi to jail right now. So that's the big difference. That's the problem with like the red game, blue game. But the Twitter files did reveal a lot of information. And I think you have these organizations like the FBI and the CIA, they find it very troubling that they now have to respond to their actions because there's email evidence to show that they were asking for suppression of certain accounts and information on Twitter. So it's an eye-opening moment, I think, for a lot of Americans who have not been paying attention to the censorship and the suppression on these platforms.
Please clap.